Are you on the phone still? Yes, I just lost the meeting. You didn't tell me. Well, I said it once. Excuse me. I don't know what to do. It's gone. Testing. 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 Testing.
Hello, hello. I see several people on.
Hello, Deborah.
Hello. You heard Nellie in the background, I'm
You
sure.
must be muted.
Huh?
Deb, are you muted?
Nope.
Henry found out that one mosquito bite could lead to...
I am not muted. Can you hear me?
Huh.
Can you hear me now?
I can't hear you. I'm muted.
My volume's up. It says I'm talking. Can anybody else hear me?
Yes.
Oh, good. Good. Well, we don't care if Tom can't hear us.
You hear me?
I can hear you. Other people can hear me. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if he can hear anybody else. Let me text him. Let's see. I see Justin Wright and Marcus. That looks like, is that Kim James?
It's Westmore.
Well, Marcus Westmore. There we go. Kelly Teague. Hi, Kelly. Let me text Tom real quick and let him know that we are speaking. Can everybody else hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Well, if you can hear me, everybody else ought to. Let me let him know. There's always some kind of technical something, isn't it?
Well,
All right. I just texted him. I wonder if he'll see that. Anyway, let's see here. We've got Justin and Kelly and Marcus. Pardon my dog in the background. She's looking out the window and hearing something. I apologize. I see Andrew's on. Wonderful. Amy Pavlik. Hi, Andrew. Can everybody, Andrew, can you hear me? I can't hear you. You might be on mute.
well, I couldn't hear you through the computer either. So what I did is I did the audio through the telephone.
Oh, interesting. Can anybody
can
else
hear you.
hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, great. Hi, is this Kelly?
I'm Kelly, yes.
Hi. Nice to almost meet you.
I look forward to meeting you in person, yes.
Yeah, wonderful. I look forward to it too. Let's see who else. I see Andrew. You guys, some of you all may be muted or you need to select the connect to computer audio. Kelly, Tom is having trouble today. Tom Edwards is having trouble connecting. We can hear him, but he can't hear me. At least I don't.
I got it now.
You got it now? Oh, okay. There he is.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Yes. Good. I was getting worried. I'm like, how in the world are we going to have us a? Let's see here.
Hello.
Phone. Yeah. There's Andrew.
Hey,
Can you
Andrew.
hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Hey, Tom, Kelly,
What's up,
Justin.
bud?
We got a number of people joining us today. I'm going to give them a few more minutes, and Mary will be popping on. She's going to help us with the screen sharing. I appreciate everybody that's getting on today. And this will be, there's Mariel. Hey, Mariel. This will be a good video for those who were unable to join us. I got a number of emails of people who will be helping to facilitate and or scribe, but we're just unable to get away from their work. And we understand that. It's hard to get everybody. Thank goodness for technology, even if it is a little sketchy from time to time. And if everybody can mute your phone until you're, or computer until you're talking, if on your computer, if you move your cursor around down the left-hand corner, you'll see a little mic that you can click on and that'll help you mute it. But just don't forget to unmute it when you're getting ready to talk. Hey, Mariel. All righty, let's see here. We've got, I'm trying to see who the BCDSK2 person is. I thought maybe that was Kim James. Let's see here. We've got somebody on the phone that called in. Mandy, is that Mandy Haithcox?
Yes, it is.
Hi, Mandy. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Wonderful. Long time no see. I've been telling people about that wonderful tour we had of Pathways.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Absolutely love that place, and the work you all are doing there is so exciting. And we're so glad you can join us for the summit.
Me too.
Okay, let's see here. I guess just in the to conserve a little time, we might go ahead. Mariel, you want to put the slides up to get us started? We're going to do a little screen sharing here. So I'm glad a lot of you guys are on the computer so that you can see what we're showing here. She's going to start us now. This is kind of keep us on track as to where we're headed. We don't want to take up a lot of your time today. This honestly is very, very easy to do, but it's crucial to the summit's actually working. It's wonderful for us all to come together and share ideas, meet each other, discuss, what we'd like to see happen in a community. But it's quite another to take that to the next level, which is what we're trying to do with leaders in the community. And that is to sit down and create action plans on projects that only you as community members understand are needed, and put these action plans together in a format in which it can actually be accomplished. And the key here is for us to have something to bring back to our communities to really make something happen. So this is not just about all of us getting together and having a good time, which I hope we do, and I think we will, but we want to have something really evolve from this. The real work that comes out of these summits is afterwards. And as you're seeing today, we use Zoom a lot, and we'll offer that to anyone in the room that's interested in using that going forward in their meetings. It's totally free. And it's a great way to connect as we all are doing now when we can't always be in the same room together. So again, I want to thank all of you guys for participating today. Let's go to the next slide, Mariel, when you got a chance. There we go. So again, here are the objectives. And of course, I've got my, kind of hard for me to see. Can you drop that down just a little smaller, because the framework over here, Mariel, with people's pictures is covering up part of it for me. I don't know if you can do it without losing it.
I can't. To do that makes it very, very small.
Okay, we won't do that then. I'll just. You can help me fill in if I lose something. So these are some of the objectives of the Recovery Alliance summits. We want to improve awareness of other systems of recovery advocacy and support. We know there's a lot of good work out there being done, and a lot of people aren't aware of what is actually available within their communities or nearby, and we're trying to help. That's the point, is bringing all these together so we can learn about each other. Identifying opportunities to assist the person served across systems over a longer trajectory of time, across the stages of, I can't see what that word is, Mariel. Personal development and recovery. Also to identify areas of collaboration with other systems of recovery and advocacy, and to promote advocacy within and across systems of existing and potentially new recovery support. So part of the objective, obviously, is to determine what we have, and also determine what we need, what is lacking, and how we go about filling those voids. Okay. And so here are the roles we're talking about. And the main ones we're talking about today, although we will touch on the last one too, will be the facilitator and the scribe. The facilitator is the person who assists in keeping discussions focused and moving the projects and components forward. Whenever you get a group together, you've got to have a leader who simply, they don't need to know everything. And it's not about them coming up with all the ideas. It's about simply guiding the group along, encouraging everyone to speak up and put their ideas forward. And when an idea comes together and they decide on a project, okay, who can do what, and helping to get the names, the dates, the people they know, all connected and together in one place. And at this point, you come to the scribe. The scribe is filling out this planning document, which I think we provided copies for you guys to look at ahead of time. That's a hard copy. The easiest way to work with that, obviously, is on your laptop. That's why we encourage all scribes and some facilitators, even if they can bring their laptops. It's so easy to work with that document immediately right there. So that way you don't have to take handwritten notes and transcribe them into that later. So the scribe is simply filling in the blanks. And Mariel, you have a great way of expressing this. I'm going to let you talk about what the scribe needs to capture.
And we'll go into a little bit more in the planning document itself. What we want to make sure is the scribe understands that they don't have to provide a transcript of the conversation. Not every word that's spoken at the table is going to be critical in moving forward. What we want to capture is what are the action items? What are the goals? Very important that we capture any names of people who may or may not be actually in the room at the summit, and make sure that they're attached to the project, that there's someone who's going to contact them. It really is about capturing key information. Deborah pointed out, it's easier for us if it's done electronically. We have Google Docs, which is just fill in the blank. You can't mess them up. And I can give you, every scribe gets their own link and their own document. The reason that we like that is because it's interactive. More than one person can be looking at the exact same document at the time and can follow the discussion along, maybe even help the scribe by adding a few notes or spelling a name or whatever it needs to be done. The other part is that, unfortunately, it's very difficult sometimes to read handwriting. So when we get handwritten copies of notes, we can't always read everything. And even, a week later when we're trying to transcribe them, because we don't have the staff really to do that, it's all done by volunteers. You'll get a volunteer who will have to reconstruct information. That doesn't generally work out really well. So if it's at all possible to have the scribe enter it all electronically, that's what we need to have happen. And that's another reason why it's not important that they're sitting there trying to capture every word and just the key points, because it's important also that the scribe is able to continue their portion of contributing to the table work, and their ideas and their feedback is all part of it.
Absolutely. That is a good way to describe it. So those two actually support one another. And then following the event, they keep that group rolling. They will, and this is something I want to make perfectly clear. These groups, initially, I can help set them up and set up the Zoom calls, but the facilitator and or scribe, whichever one you guys decide it's your group, or if there's another member of your group who you want to do this, will send that link out to your members and remind them of your next meeting. That'll be your all's responsibility. This is your group. This will be your project. So you can take ownership. I'm here, Mariel's here to support you in any way we can, but it's your project. And it's really not that hard. It's so easy, like I said now, especially with Zoom meetings. If you're lucky enough to meet together in person, that's even better. But if not, this is certainly a great way. And it does record, like we're doing this one, and we can convert that into a YouTube and send you the link, and then you can send that to anyone who could make your meetings going forward. So it's really handy. And again, we'll go over this again when we look at the planning page. I do want to talk a minute about the communicator. This is someone you may determine at the table. Once you sit down and get to speaking with them, you're going to have somebody probably at your table that knows a lot of key people that couldn't come to the summit, but would be very beneficial to the project at hand. And that person would be good to go out and start bringing more people into your group following the summit, encouraging them to jump on the bandwagon and help support you, and all of you join together to put all your heads together to figure out how to make this project run, and who that can help with that, where you can get the funding if needed. Whatever it is that you're needing for your project. So the communicator, we call them the cheerleader, for lack of a better word, but they're one who's very enthusiastic about what's going on and really can go up and drum up some new membership to your group to keep your group alive and growing and expanding. Okay, so now with the RAI project planner, you're going to have it, as Mariel said, online. It's editable and viewable in real time. That especially would be the Google Doc. We're also going to provide you with a Microsoft Word version if that's easier for you to work with. It doesn't, it's not editable as easily. I think you can, but it doesn't like when Mariel and I are working on one doc, she can edit it right in front of me. I can watch her on our laptops, and she's in Cary, I'm in Chapel Hill, and it'll automatically update right there in front of me. So it's that kind of a live document. Obviously you can edit a Microsoft Word product, but it's going to be a little more cumbersome, as I recall, than that. But you will have that for those who can use that. It's going to be legible, and that's the main thing. So each scribe, facilitator, and communicator team member will have their own copy online, also a Word document, as we said, and we'll have the paper document. We're going to have a hard copy on every table there. So God forbid, for whatever reason, you don't have someone who has a scribe that has a laptop or an iPad that can work, then you can always take notes on there, but we would ask that it be transcribed when they got home. in a fashion that they could email to us. And as Mariel said, this is used for the executive summary that we put together. Mariel is the brain behind this, among other things. She puts this together at the end of the summit, usually about a month later, pulls it all together, and that would be housed on our website, which is great information for other tables. It also is great information for other groups, you know, that are in North Carolina. So they get ideas from you as well, too, and also can support you. So, let's see, where are we? What's the next? Okay, so I'm going to turn it over to Mariel. This is her baby.
Okay, this is what the project planning page looks like. It's very simple. You just put the name of your project up at the top. We'll go through some of the topic suggestions in a few minutes, but one thing you really want to work on as a facilitator is taking all of the good discussion that starts off at your table and narrowing it down into a goal. You'd put that here, and then just so that we know who to go back to if we have any questions or the group has any questions. We need the name of the scribe and the facilitator and who's at the table.
That's very important. Let me just emphasize that. Let's go back to that screen. You want to get down everyone who's at your table and all their contact information. That's critical for you when you're trying to reach out to them about the next meeting or the project to see how they're doing on their part of the project or whatever. It's also helpful to us to support each one of you. So make sure you do that and get it as complete as possible, because you'll thank us later.
I'm going to come back and say a little bit more about the goal, actually, because one thing that we've discovered in the past is that goals were either so unrealistic that a couple groups got stymied. You know, when you have a huge project in front of you, you don't know where to start. The facilitator can work the table and the team together to narrow that goal down so that it is something that is achievable. It is something that you'll be able to measure your success. But what you end up with at the end of the day on the 16th is probably not going to be exactly what you end up doing. You'll have that time as you work through it as a team to make those adjustments. So what's important is really considering what it is that you want to achieve overall. And then if you have to scale it back to achieve it in pieces, that's fine. This planning page is really meant to be a tool to help you. It's not meant to constrict you in any way or constrict your team.
Absolutely.
And another thing that we found is that when some teams get to this page where they have their goal, they start looking at the action items, and you know, this is pretty simple stuff. What do you need to do? Who's going to do it? Put together a timeline of when you think it's reasonable for it to be done. What are the resources? Who do you need? You know, what kind of money would you need? Would you need internet resources? Would you need database resources? Do you need what human resources do you need to work on your project? What might be some of the potential barriers that you're going to encounter, and what is a preliminary plan on how to address those barriers? And then lastly, who else do you need to inform? And this may even be one of the absolute most important pieces.
It looks like a pressure washer.
Oh, okay. No,
Somebody's got their mic unmuted.
Washer, the communication part, and this communication is just not the group itself, but almost certainly there are going to be other individuals or organizations who are who are not sitting in this room at this table that should be involved, could potentially do a lot for your project. So be sure to list them. Maybe they're only going to be involved in one of the action items, but still put them all down so that we have that documented and there's a plan moving forward.
Can everybody, let me just, excuse me one second, Mariel. Can everybody mute their devices if they aren't speaking right now, just so we can hear Mariel? I want to say one other thing too here, Mariel. And it is so with Google Docs. I'm not sure if it is with Microsoft Word. These columns will expand as you type in them with Google Docs. Yeah, so I know they look like they're small here, but you'll have room to get what you want in there if it's on your laptop. Otherwise, that will be a bit of a challenge if you're working on the hard copy. But you could always flip it over and write on the back too. But just so you know, they do expand and allow for much more information.
Right, and I should say that the formatting of this doesn't matter at all. If you take an action item that takes 2 pages long, you might want to consider breaking it up, but it doesn't really matter. That these columns will expand or contract, and any formatting issues are incredibly easy for me to fix. They're much easier for me to go back and make it look pretty than it is for me to go back and try to find what the information should have been. So the scribes should not be intimidated by you cannot break this form. It's okay. It doesn't, it truly, it's not breakable.
I've tried, and it's still
tried. She's good. So the last thing on this page, which I've just managed to cover up, but we find that if at the end of the day, every group schedules their next meeting right there in the room, that meeting is much, much more likely to happen. And because it is our profound experience that if you don't start the project with the intent in mind that you are going to meet again, then people tend to get wrapped up in their daily jobs. They tend to get wrapped up in other things, and the projects don't advance as fast as they otherwise could have. So even though it's a tiny little shaded box, that Zoom meeting really is, we are committed to meeting again on such and such a date.
And I would encourage everybody to do it, if at all possible, at least within 30 days of the summit, if not within a shorter period of time. Because those who schedule it way out, I've watched it time and time again not happen. Mm-hmm. And even if you just get together for 15 minutes to touch base and review your notes from the summit, I'm telling you now, experience has led all of us to understand this. And we're not trying to be hardheads. We're trying to help your group really make a difference in your community. So go ahead.
This next part is, again, reiterating that many people who could offer profound support to any project will not be at the summit for whatever reason. This is another place to put together a list for the communicator for the project, for the facilitator and the scribe, to know who is it. Did Josephine Smith not be in the room, but she's got to be here, and I know her, and I know she's going to want to be part of it. Here's her name. Here's her email. I'll contact her, and then you put Mariel's name over there. That's how these projects move forward. If you limit yourself to just the people sitting at the table, you really are limiting yourself. It's the people not in the room who you will find have just a tremendous amount to contribute to you. The next piece is that we also want you to consider who are the other groups in the room, because you'll be hearing from them. And how is it that your work at your table, your project, may coordinate with another group? In some cases, there'll be 2 or 3 tables who are addressing roughly the same project, and you'll want to merge. That has happened in the past. There are some cases in which our research table, for instance, at the state summit, decided they didn't have a cohesive enough project that they wanted to work at, but between the 6 people at that table, they divided themselves up because they had tremendous interest in other groups. So they took their research piece and took it to the other tables. So they worked together in that way and saw the crossover between different groups. At the 7 County, there are a lot of pre-arrest diversion tables, and there are also a lot of re-entry to toxic environment tables. It is entirely possible that several of those groups may want to get together with one another and say, this is our project, but it dovetails in the end into your project. Or you may have pieces of information as a result of your project that could help inform how we do our project. So getting together with those other groups and knowing, just from hearing what other groups are doing, that interaction is possible. Go ahead and add it to the project planner, because we are going to have someone coordinating getting the groups together, not just among themselves, but between each other, between the different groups. We need to, I think we have this as we need to make a quick adjustment of this for Seven County because this was done for the state. But again, this is just thinking ahead to what the other groups are doing. If directory implementation has a question or something to offer pre-arrest diversion programs. For instance, maybe they have a survey on the type of programs that the pre-arrest diversion programs need to know about. That's something the directory table can offer them. What do they need from them? Well, they need to know what is it that these programs need. Do they need therapists? Do they need IOP? Do they need transportation services? So communication between tables is always really important, but also communication with sectors. So for instance, if your table is talking and you think that the collegiate community have something that they can offer you, then you can address in terms of, well, we'd like someone from collegiate to come to us and talk to us about XYZ. Or we think we have something we can offer the collegiate recovery programs. Here's what it is that we have to offer them. You don't have to fill out all of these. The idea is just see that crossover that you can help another group or sector, or that other group or sector can help you. Jot it down, just put it in there, and that crossover can then be something that can be facilitated on a formal level. And then I think this is probably the most important page out of all of them, to tell you the truth. Not this miscellaneous notes, because that's what you'll find is your table will have all kinds of great information, and maybe some of it doesn't make it into your project. Note it down in here. We don't want it lost. Great ideas happen that may not pertain exactly to your project, but we don't want that information lost. So this would be a great place to put it. If you've made a specific decision that you want chronicled for the future, then put it here. If there's a step 2 to your project, once you finish phase 1 as a reasonable project and you want maybe to go to a phase 2 that does X, Y, Z, this would be a great place to put it. The most important part is this, the report out. At the end of the day, we ask that either the scribe or the facilitator, it's almost always the scribe, but it's between you two, stand up and just briefly say, this is our plan, this is our first step, this is our next meeting. Those pieces, when you're doing your projects, that is what carries you forward, because it's really hard not to keep emphasizing that the best work that's going to be done is not going to happen in that room. It's going to happen after everybody leaves that room.
Very good point. And notice it says 3 minutes or less. We have learned to request that too, because you guys are going to be tired at the end of the day too. You will have done a lot of work. There's a lot of excitement involved in this. And because of that excitement, sometimes we've had some tables that just wanted to go on and on about the wonderful project that they had going. And we love that. But at that point, we're probably already, our brains are fried and we're ready to pack it up and go home. By the way, I want to apologize because we got on a little early. I neglected to introduce myself and Mariel, and Tom for that matter. My name's Deborah Kopatowski, even though it says Tom Edwards on my picture there. I am the coordinator for Recovery Alliance, and I'm the one that's been sending you all those little emails that you've been receiving. And Mariel is actually works for Tom with his full-time job at Pavilion Treatment Center, and but she volunteers for Recovery Alliance, and she has been with Recovery Alliance since day one and is just invaluable. She will unfortunately not be able to join us at this event, but she is going to be sending her thoughts and lots of hard work in the meantime to prepare us for this. So we just wanted you to know who all we are. And Tom, of course, is the man who came up with this brainchild, and he's muted, I think, right now, or having technical difficulties with getting out to us, but you'll get to meet him at the summit too. So, all right. So
wait, before you go to, Deborah, before you go to 3 phases, yes. I just wanted to say one thing. I'm not sure who else on the call has ever done this before. But Donald was a facilitator. Hi, Donald. At one, at the Triangle, North Carolina, I think, and if not others. And I know this forum actually is an evolution from the one that he had that was about 2 years ago. is there, I'd asked Donald if there was any advice or any feedback he had on what it's like to be a facilitator.
I think it's great. Hi, Donald.
Hey, folks. Sorry I came in late. I was on the call with a grantee, and I know I can watch the video to catch up on what I missed, but I'm so excited to be part of this.
Well, we're thrilled to have you. Have you got any suggestions for a facilitator, a successful facilitator?
Oh, goodness. Just, the normal stuff. Listen, really listen. And this is a passionate space, so sometimes folks may not listen super well themselves. It's good to encourage that action and that talking and stuff, but you'll get a chance to exercise some facilitation skills. Hey, that's a great idea. What do you think about it, Bob? So that's been the thing. Or you'll have a completely silent table that doesn't want to talk much at all, and it's just the typical facilitation stuff. I love what I'm seeing here, and I'm so excited. The initiative is moving forward like this with a strong focus on implementation, what happens after, and I guess creating that culture at your table as well. Like this is a hoot, but this is all about what you're going to do when you go home. So,
thank you so
much.
We are so glad you're joining us this time around. I know you're a busy man all over the state, but we're thrilled that you're coming in to help us out.
I can't wait. I was raised in Asheville, and the western part of the state's my home. I've got a couple grantees out that way as well that I'm trying to encourage to get active in this. And so this is good stuff.
Awesome. Sheriff Christopher kind of said something very similar the other day on our focus group call, and he was saying, encourage everybody to brainstorm at the table. And he says sometimes you'll get lots and lots and lots of ideas, and it's a matter of narrowing it down. And as Mariel said, some of those other ideas, maybe the group decides on one, but there's these other 2 or 3 that are really good. Don't hesitate to list those over there in that miscellaneous section, because that will be something good to either follow up on or share with another group. So it's or the next go round, the next time we have a summit. So, and Donald, I got to tell you, this Western region is so pumped up. When we had the Western Regional in November, yeah, they're on fire. When that room was electric, and we literally had to threaten them to get up from the tables and take their breaks because they were so engaged. It was so exciting. And that was where we learned to limit it to 3 minutes for the report out so everybody could go home, because they were so excited about their projects, and we've had some wonderful things come from it. As a matter of fact, this 7-county summit is a direct result of that. We were told that these 7 counties are so far out that we really needed to come to them, and that they were in need, and there were people anxious to work, and great organizations out here that needed to be recognized. And so that's why we're here. So I think you'll have fun. This is going to be one of the biggest ones yet. So we're glad you're joining us.
Awesome.
All right, so one of the other things we've done is we've broken this table work down into more bite-sized pieces. When you get your agenda, you'll see, which we're finalizing the details on it, but you'll see that we actually have 3 different times you're going to do table work. So you get breaks, you get to move around and hear people speak about really cool stuff. Phase 1, we encourage you to get to know your partners at the table. Do some of that brainstorming, capture their names, their contact information, what sector they're in, put all of that in the planner page. And by sector, I mean, are they collegiate recovery? Are they prevention education? Are they law enforcement? Are they recovery court? Who else? Mariel, help me. Give me some ideas. Peer support, treatment centers, because we get a lot of really passionate people from treatment centers that sit right at these tables and work on these projects.
Yep,
Very exciting.
Clergy. Also, we've had EMS come. We've had all sorts of amazing people come.
First
And
responder.
sometimes it's people whose primary job is dealing with substance use disorders, and sometimes it's just a peripheral part, but probably a fairly significant moment in the lives of the people that they're interacting with. For instance, the EMS, that's not their entire job, but when they interact with someone who is suffering, it's a very significant moment.
It really is. And if you're lucky, you'll have a variety of sectors at your table. That's what this is about, is collaborating so that we can weave a network of continuum of recovery for anyone who's in this situation, so that they don't get lost drop through the cracks. This is what we're trying to establish, and have a seamless transition from discovering that you have an issue to whether it's by, an overdose, or just you recognize you have a problem and you need help, or you're arrested and thrown in jail, but you want to get your life straight. So from going from there to treatment to recovery, and then coming out, you need to get a job. You need to be able to rent an apartment or get a house. This is your reentry piece of it. And then, how the community supports you. Are you going to go back into this toxic environment? Or are you going to try to settle in a better community that's going to support your needs? And we're hoping that this community can be the one, that we can help build this community in such a way that it can provide that for those in recovery. So phase one, you're going to capture the name, the contact information, and sector on the planner page, and determine what your project will be. Then when you come back from, I think it's after lunch, you'll roll into phase two. There you'll start working on creating an action plan with those specific goals, and determine who's going to do what, with target dates, reasonable target dates for completion. Nobody's going to beat you with a stick if you don't get it done, but just something to kind of shoot for. I have to have goals and all to get up and get my projects done. And I think you'll find that works well for you as well too. And then list resources that are needed and roadblocks to overcome. And then at the end, when we come back for the final table work, we list anyone who's not in the room. That would be a great resource. Determine who will reach out to them, maybe your communicator, as we talked about. And sometimes maybe the facilitator or scribe might end up being the communicator too. Or you may have 2 or 3 other people at your table that want to be communicators. Whoever it is that can reach out and bring those people and invite them to your group. Decide on your first meeting date and the time for your Zoom call. We'll go around and collect that information. We'll write that down. And then when I come back in a day or two, you'll get that link and everything to send out to your group. And then prepare bullet points for your 3-minute report out that afternoon at the summit. All right, Mariel, you want to take this one?
Just takes me a second to unmute here.
Gotcha.
So one thing that, again, we probably say it too much, but it's so important to us, is that we continue to work in these groups. We have, and unfortunately I completely forgot that it wasn't in this slide presentation until just now, but we do have a goal, how to set a goal that's achievable, manageable, that can be evaluated, because, and we'll share that with the facilitators and the scribes. We'll send you an email, and it's just a description of how do you set a goal, keeping in mind that this is something that you want to be implementable, and you also want to be measurable. You want to be able to say at a certain point, and probably along the timeline of doing the project, we're succeeding or we're not succeeding, and evaluate what is it that we could be doing better? What is it that we are doing right? And the reason this is important is because not only is your project important for your community, but we share this with communities across the state, and we want them to see what it is that you're doing that's working, so that if they decide on a similar project, they're not starting from scratch. They can learn from what you have done, what seems to be a good approach. So in setting the goals, we want to look at what's really going to help people, what is going to make an impact, what is going to make a difference. And we try to make that as easy as possible for these groups to keep going. We encourage you to meet in person outside of the summit. We absolutely encourage you. We offer you video conferencing, and we encourage the videotaping of those conferences, which is automatic on Zoom, so that you can share this with people who are not available during a given time, and they can keep up to speed and continue to contribute. And then we have the Recovery Alliance website, which really is, it's just a central place where everybody owns everything, where we don't have to worry about copyright rules in terms of one another's work. Sometimes, for instance, if you do something on a university website, the university automatically owns it. This is just a neutral space, a mutual space. There's no philosophical approach. We don't endorse anything except multiple pathways. It's very much about being open in terms of everyone feeling that they are safe to say what they need to say and contribute their honest opinion, their honest action, their honest work to move projects forward. Having said that, you always find that you might want to share documents with each other. You might want to invite other people. You yourself might be at a table where you say, well, this is great, but it's not really my passion, and then see another group, and this allows you to see what the other groups are doing and move, say, or do both. So that's why we encourage a central space to locate everything. So there's this ability to contribute across the various groups and across the various sectors. Deborah, you want to do the?
Sure. Yeah, I'll get it started. I'm going to talk, and you may explain them better than I do, but these are the topics. Now, we did the survey. Well, first of all, we've been working with the focus group, and they've kind of helped us determine what the key topics of concern in this community are. From that, we created these table topics, put this in the survey. This is why we encourage everybody to complete the survey, and I commend all of you guys for doing that, because it helps us understand which ones are a go, which one of these topics are a go, how many tables we need for each one. And then we also have to determine, and once we determine the tables, we have to have a facilitator and a scribe for each table. So this is how we break it down and kind of get us organized. So when we come to meet on Friday, next Friday, it's not a matter of all these people coming in and going, oh, I don't know where to sit. I don't know what I'm going to do. I've got to figure out what topic I want to talk about. We want to try to have pretty much it organized where everybody's going to be. Again, I want to say, you can get up and move at any time. Nobody is harnessing you to a seat, but it helps us kind of, if you know you're going to be working on this topic with this particular table or whatever, then you can go in there and get focused and really help determine what your project's going to be. So that's why we do this. And so one of the first ones was collaboration and expansion. This is probably one of the broadest ones that we have, and we've tried to narrow it down where this particular, whoever did the table that works on this is going to partner with me specifically and Mariel in reaching out to all the groups with their projects to assist in any way with connecting them with needed resources and preparing them for a state summit report out. Because whatever you guys do and succeed with as far as a final project goes, or maybe it's one of these projects that's going to take a couple years, kind of like our directory that we're working on. It has phases to it. But you'll reach certain key points where you'll say, okay, we accomplished this, and that will be something we would report out. So this would be a person and table that would actually take this on to kind of help keep all these different tables networking and collaborating together and exchanging information. And would encourage the sharing of efforts on a website and facilitate involvement of others in the community in project planning. So that's reaching out to others to help all the different groups. So that's kind of a neat one. That's kind of like, I'm trying to think how I would categorize that. That's kind of like the glue that's kind of holding everything together and helping us all network together. Then we've got the directory implementation. And Mariel, I want you to speak on this. This has been her baby.
And actually, Andrew, who's on with us, he had tremendous help with it. We're actually right now in the process of drafting the proposal for the next level. We partner with NC State's GIS graduate school, and they assign us a student or students who are working with implementing this amazing directory. The first thing that I will tell you about the directory is it's not intended to replace the good directories that are out there. It is intended to be a central location again which is that works with understanding that there are specialized databases. There are, I'm trying to think of one that's been told, and we pay attention to them. But you know, if you have a directory of all of the collegiate programs, that's a specialized directory, and you may or may not know to go there. We incorporate that into our larger directory. But we have been incredibly fortunate with NC State and also with Andrew, who helped us do a lot of data mapping last semester, in that they are cutting edge and they are doing this work for us for free in collaboration with us. And the more complicated and the back end and the prettier the front end and easiest user friendly piece that they can put together, that's their goal. So we really could not ask for a more dedicated group to work with. We are working within that framework now, but what we need to do, because it is our belief in the foundation of this directory, is that local people know local resources best. It is our belief that sometimes, especially in rural counties, there may be a resource that were it located in a center like Raleigh and there were 15 others just like it, you probably wouldn't recommend it. But if you're in a rural area, and I'll give an example, for instance, say there's an IOP and it's the only IOP in the county, something is better than nothing, and it's up to the local people to decide what it is that's a good resource for their local area to be in the directory. It's not up to someone in Raleigh who doesn't know to base it on some criteria that might eliminate needed resources from being in the directory. So that vetting process is specific to the local area. You decide what counts as a good resource in your area. And that's a very important piece to us because it is a piece that's missing from a lot of the larger directories. It's also, this is going to be specialized with anything that relates to SUD, and that could be right down to transportation to get someone to a treatment program. It could be transportation to get them to a job when they're in reentry. It will have a lot of crossover with NC Care 360. We're aware of that, but we're also focusing on an area that they are implementing much later in their project. So we're hoping it'll be more of a partnership than anything else. And that'll be true of any of the other directories out there. So one of the biggest parts of the directory implementation is getting that vetting process for the local groups and then getting the data. Having them start a plan on getting the good resources in their area in this directory, which is interactive and can be updated and will show the updates instantaneously, and have that working for whoever needs it to be working for them right now. I don't want to leave the slide presentation, but one thing I'm going to do is prepare a packet for the directory tables so they know what we already have. I'm also going to let them take a look at the proposal we're making for our new student, and they'll have time to say, hey, you know, we'd rather have XYZ piece, and we could incorporate that even as one of our suggestions to our student.
And the key here,
Muriel and Deborah, I'm so sorry. This is April from Dogwood Health Trust. Super excited about this. I've got to pop off the phone, but thank you all so much for all you're doing, and I cannot wait. And I'll check the YouTube so I don't miss the rest of the presentation. So,
all right, April, no problem. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
There's another sort of caveat about all of these topics is that sometimes they're a little broad, and it's okay for the tables to narrow them down and redefine them to make sense for their projects.
And one thing I wanted to add here, some people go, well, what in the world do we need a directory for? And I'm like, you have to know where your resources are. You know, people in need don't need to struggle I was having dinner with somebody last night, and she was talking about what she went through with her son, and she didn't know where to turn, and she didn't know who to ask advice for. And this is so common. So, you know, this is one of the things we hear wherever we go with people, well, didn't know that was available. So by having a directory that's easily accessible to anyone, they can even go to a library if they don't have a computer, and they can go on and find what's closest to them and what fits with what they can afford and what their needs are. So that's the point.
I should say something else is the directory includes a lot. It's not just a listing of resources. it has, for instance, just as one example, it has the capability of creating heat maps of resource types so that you would be able to demonstrate in real time by creating a heat map that says, well, there actually are no IOPs specific for women in this entire area, because here's all of the ones that exist, and you can see there's a complete blank hole right in the middle of our map.
Exactly. Tells us what we need.
Visualization of not just the resources that exist, but the resources that do not exist.
Exactly. So we know what to work on. Okay. And so now we get to some of the other topics. There's been a lot of call for this. So we're doing harm reduction education to create a plan for reaching all 7 counties with the importance of harm reduction and the funding for this as well in all communities. And then we have integrated healthy community, begin to answer the question of how we can connect to, see again, Mariel, I'm having trouble seeing that, connect to with other aspects and providers involved in the creation of healthy community. Can figure out what that word is. Create the message of how a healthy community fits, how a healthy community benefits everyone concerned, from businesses to law enforcement to families, obviously, and to the individual. Learning what this is all about and how we can support those in recovery and their families. And developing a program for delivering this message to the community. Again, it's about taking whatever project we create and bringing it right back to our communities. That's the important piece. It doesn't do us any good to just simply have it in a site. We need to get it to the people, and so that needs to be part of the project. How do we filter this down, to our communities? And then pre-arrest diversion programs, examine the current state of pre-arrest diversion programs in the 7 western counties. I think we have Sheriff Christopher has been doing a lot with that out of the state summit. As a matter of fact, his group is still working on that, and they're making some huge strides with that. And he's actually working statewide with that, but also right there in your community. Identify 5 to 10 open agencies and implement a plan of support for the creation of these programs in new jurisdictions using the support of the entire recovery community. And there again, that's where the website comes in handy, because you can pull from everyone in the state that's working on this. And this has become a huge program for the state. And then peer support. Again, how many tables did we have at the state summit on that, Mara? Was it 4? I want to say.
I think 4.
I think it started out as 3, and one of the more open-ended ones ended up going to peer support too. Not only educating people about peer support, but apparently there's so many that are needed, and there's not near enough. So those who are doing this are being worked to death, from what we're hearing. So we need to support those who are already peer supporters, and we also need to determine the current status of peer support in the counties, create a plan for expanding peer support through supervised compliant training in the areas of the 7 counties that are missing this, starting with the most needed areas. And now we had, prevention is huge in your area. A big one is prevention education in schools. So a simplistic version of what this table would work on would be create a plan for inclusion of this curriculum in all schools in all 7 counties. Then there's prevention education for the community. Again, for the general public, create a plan for providing educational seminars for communities in the 7 counties. And then a generalized prevention education, messaging, and training, an overall examination of the need for prevention education and how to improve the message in these 7 counties.
And that table actually can go to a more general messaging table too, because that's all wrapped up into this very broad topic.
And explain what you mean by messaging for those who might not know, Mariel.
Well, there's actually, Donald probably I hate to keep doing this to him, but Donald knows a whole lot about what messaging training is, and I'm not sure how prevalent it's been in the Western area. It'd be nice to know. But it has to do with language. It has to do with destigmatizing language and teaching that destigmatized language to people so that you start to have a very different and more positive message that is recovery oriented and recovery friendly, it does make a difference. It makes a difference when you're speaking to every stakeholder that is out there. And the fact is that if you want to tell the truth, there's not a single member of our community who isn't a stakeholder in supporting recovery.
It's the truth. It really is. It really is. Another one is re-entry and return to challenging environments. We kind of touched on this a minute ago. Collecting resources and experience across the sectors concerning return to work, return to school, re-entry from incarceration, and return to these possible toxic environments that they came from. This is a huge, huge topic a lot of people are working with, and state government is looking at this as well. And then recovery court, identify current and recovery drug courts and determine how best to move forward to implement this in the 7 counties. I think we have, I don't know if Ricky Hill is on right now, but he's going to be the facilitator definitely for that table. He's made some huge strides there, and he wants to continue that at our summit. So Q&A time. Anybody have questions so far? Comments?
I will tell you that based on survey results, I have a preliminary assignment. Don't take that as assignment, but list of facilitators and scribes for each table topic. Would you like me to throw that on the screen really quickly, Deborah?
Sure, for whoever's on that might be interested. Yeah, absolutely.
But we'll send it to everybody, and then we'll be able to move this around. Again, this is not to make anyone feel like you have to stay where you are. This was just based on the survey results that we got and what people said they were willing to do. It may be that after watching this video or after you guys have listened to it that you want to change topics or move around a little bit. That there's certainly time to do that. So this is just, as I said, we want a facilitator and a scribe at every table. We are talking to Stephanie about who she thinks would make a good scribe for her. She's done this before, so she knows. We're looking for someone to partner with Yvonne because he's never facilitated before. Want to make sure that he feels supported, that sort of thing. So that's just, I just wanted you to know that we're trying to put a lot of thought into this, and we're trying to put people in the topics that they have the most passion about. So if you asked to be a facilitator for prevention education, that was our first priority was to put you there.
And just to, in case, it took me a minute to grasp all of this, but the first column, of course, are the topics. And then the facilitator is a column B. Your scribe is column C. D and E are alternate people. And we have others to choose from as well, too. But this is just the beginnings of this. So if anybody has any comments, they can email me. Again, this will be on the video when we send that out. Hopefully, Mariel can get that tonight. We'll probably get it sent out tomorrow at some point, because we're just trying to do it. It takes a lot of work to pull this together, but it's worth it. And it helps us to become so much more organized and focused, and we get stuff done at the summit. So again, I want to open this up to comments, questions, thoughts. Unmute your mics now, guys. Anybody that would like to speak? Guys and girls.
How many people do you expect to be there physically, not by Zoom, I mean physically?
How many people are coming to the summit?
Yes.
At this point, we have about 170 registered. We actually have a wait list going. I'm sorry?
How many tables do you think there will be?
How many?
The amount of tables.
Mariel, did you say 21, 22?
Right now we have 20 tables set. I'm waiting for a few more survey results, which I imagine we're going to get. And my guess is that we'll end up with 22 to 24 tables done in the end.
So we need 22 to 24 facilitators and 22 to 24 scribes. I'm going to send out another email, and those of you who have sent the survey in, I've marked you, so hopefully I will not accidentally bombard you with another one of those emails. But if I do, I apologize right up front. But I've tried to keep track of that, so I only send it to those who haven't registered. I think we had 65 or 70 people have done the survey, Mariel. So there's another 100 out there that need to do the survey.
I will tell you something else is that the tables, the number of tables per topic are based on my extrapolating out, because this is the names you saw on that list are not everyone who returned a survey. It's just everyone who returned a survey and said they were willing to take a facilitator or scribe role. Based on I give a score per topic, and that's why we create, say, 5 prevention tables and 2 peer support tables. That will almost certainly adjust slightly, and that's why I have 2 or 3 open tables that I haven't assigned yet, because that allows you guys to move around a little bit, over the next couple of days when you say, well, I really would rather be at a reentry table. But that also allows us, as the survey results come in, and I see more interest in a different topic, to create the table for that topic. I don't think it's going to change overly much. I just think we're going to add 3 tables to what you saw on that list. I just don't know what those tables are going to be until I see what the actual interest from the surveys is.
Right. That's a good question, though. Thank you.
Right.
Any other questions or comments?
Yeah, I have a question. Just so from the Zoom group chat, Amy asked a question, and this kind of goes with what you were just talking about, but she asked, is collegiate recovery going to be added to the spreadsheet as a topic? Would that come from the surveys?
It's collegiate recovery is a sector. As a specific topic, what would be the focus would be my question.
Well, maybe if Amy types something.
Yeah, I just pulled it open and I was looking at it. Would it be creation of or expansion in other schools? Would it be integrating collegiate with local high schools? Getting them together? Would it be looking at working with that hasn't been suggested as a needed group, because we tend to look at collegiates as a sector instead of a topic. Certainly we'd be open to that. We just need it sort of framed in a way that we understand it as a topic, or not. It's not even that we understand it, that we can present it to the group as a topic.
It could kind of fall in line with the collaboration and expansion broad topic, couldn't it? If you're trying to, well, I guess it all depends on how you look at it. Yeah,
it all depends on what she's thinking. Yes, when I see what Amy typed, when she saw it, it was asking what sector was it, and it really would be that we'd have collegiate people at every table, ideally, because their perspective across the continuum is incredibly important. They also have a state coordinator through Governor's Institute that not through Governor's Institute. I'm sorry, through
Chris Campo.
Well, I'm thinking Chris Campo. My APNC. That's what I was trying to get to. APNC. Yeah, framing a topic around that would be helpful. Would be good. I'm not sure if that's a state level or a local level. Absolutely could use all the input that she has on that. Yeah, APNC, that's what I was trying to think. Addiction professionals in North Carolina, if that's what you're asking, Amy. I'm not sure I answered the question, but I tried.
Any other comments? I see we've reached the 5 o'clock hour. I don't want to hold people up, but I certainly don't want to get off of here if anybody else has comments or questions. Clearly, you guys reach out to us too, and at any point in time, and let us know if you need help or have a question or want to switch up or anything.
Okay, thank you.
All right, everyone. So thank you so much, and we look forward to seeing you. If not before, we'll see you next Friday the 16th.
Hey, Andrew, I know we said we'd chat, but we'll figure out a good time, because I'm working on the proposal for Dr. Money. This is totally aside from everything else, and I really would like your input on it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm free.
Thank you. Andrew, I'll be talking with you in a few minutes. I'll give you a call. Or you call me better. You give me a call. My number's on the email. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, guys.